Hey guys, welcome back to Cars and HP. So today we're going to cover some news on the new MacLaren Artura, the Audi e-tron GT, and the new Porsche 911 GT3. Before we get into that, I wanted to just thank everyone that supported me so far, that's liked and subscribed and even just watched these videos. I like to see those numbers go up, and I'm hoping to grow the channel more and more as I give you guys more content. And just as a preview, I'm trying to work on a new intro video for the channel to make it look a little more professional and nicer. As well as my next video, I'm going to try to have a funner video in the sense that I got some good footage with my 4Runner, my buddy's Range Rover Velar, of us having some fun in the snow, just working on editing that. So, you know, I want to have some news like this and some footage of, you know, like actual car guy stuff, right? Like having fun with cars and stuff like that. So anyways, let's get into it. The first big news this past week was the MacLaren Artura. It's going to be one of the first plug-in hybrid supercars. Yeah, there's the hybrid, you know, Ferrari LaFerrari, and Porsche 918 Spider, and the McLaren P1. But of course, those are like, you know, almost million dollar plus supercars. So this is the first time we're seeing this in an entry level, you know, supercar here. So let's get you the facts here. So the entry level McLaren is going to start at $225,000. I'm going to have a 3-liter hybrid V6 with 671 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, they claim, is in about 3 seconds. And it's going to be replacing the McLaren 570. You know, so with the battery that it has, it's a 7.5 kilowatt hour battery roughly. It's going to have a 19-mile all-electric range using the European testing methods. But interestingly, they also have not put in a reverse gear. Reverse will always be using the electric motor, so they saved weight there, which is pretty good. And then, so, you know, everybody's loving this, right? Everybody sees this car, they love it. The interesting thing here, though, is if you think about the time between when the Acura NSX came out and this came out. I know the Acura NSX is not a plug-in hybrid, but it is a hybrid V6 sports / supercar. You know, that I think when it first came out, it got a lot of hate for having a hybrid setup. You know, the purists did not like that. I personally, I'm not like the biggest fan of the NSX. I like how the way it looks and it's interesting. I'm just more of a Nissan GTR kind of guy. If I had to pick between that or the GTR, I'd probably go with the GTR. But that being said, if you wanted similar performance to this McLaren, you could get the NSX at $75,000 less. You can get NSX for about $150K, and it does 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, has 573 horsepower, but when you're looking at the acceleration, it's pretty much there at a discounted price. That being said, of course, it's not a McLaren, it's an Acura, so, but it depends on how much money you're willing to spend here. But I thought that was interesting that the McLaren has gotten a lot of good reception. And I mean, it's just changing of the times, right? Like, people, I think, recognize that, yes, this is the way it's going to go. You know, Ferrari, once you see Ferrari doing it, like, you know, those guys are the most stubborn. Ferrari said, like, I think the Ferrari CEO said a few years back that he would rather shoot himself than see a Ferrari SUV made. And well, what do you know, this year there's spy shots of a Ferrari SUV. So there you go. I mean, you know, if there are trends in the industry and there's ways, like, you just have to go this way. I mean, fossil fuels are going out the window. You know, we're looking at alternative energy, green energy. So, you know, this is how it's going to go. And we're going to get some fast cars. I mean, you know, I'm going to talk about the Audi e-tron GT next, and like, you know, that, the Taycan, the Model S, like, these are fast cars. For the money you're paying, you're going to beat supercars like this McLaren. But let's move on. So the Audi e-tron GT starts at $100,995, so essentially $101K. I'm going to have 522 horsepower to 637 horsepower, depending on what trim level you get. If you want the upper level 637, you need to get the $140,000 RS trim for this, which is a pretty hefty price in my opinion. Essentially, this is based off of the Taycan, as both Audi and Porsche are part of the Volkswagen Auto Group. It has the same 2-speed transmission, where the first gear is for launches and the second gear is for optimized efficiency. It's going to have the 85 kilowatt hour battery with a range of 238 miles, and with that DC fast charger, same as the Porsche Taycan, however you guys want to pronounce it. It will charge from 5% to 80% in about 23 minutes, which is pretty damn good. Although in my opinion here, sure, you can argue that the e-tron and the Taycan, can compete with the Model S, but I think something you overlook here is that Tesla has all this tech behind them. They have the self-driving capability and like everything that they have in their infotainment. Like, it's hard to compete with Tesla in that standpoint. I think Audi and Porsche are still looking at this as a normal car and not as a futuristic self-driving vehicle. I don't think they're also there in that point. I think the closest is like Cadillac's autopilot system. So it's hard to compare, because if you're looking at performance, yeah, like I guess Audi and Porsche are going towards like saying they have better performance. But even then, when you take a look at that new Model S trims, for $80K, $20K less than this, but the same as the new entry-level Taycan, $80K for the Model S gets you 413 miles range, and I believe it was it 3.10 to 60? That's pretty good. They haven't. I didn't see a 0 to 60 quote for this e-tron GT, but I'm willing to bet it's not that much faster than 3.1 seconds. And then, okay, fine. If you wanted to, pay the same amount of money for around the same amount of money, let's say you want to get the RS for 120K, 20 grand less than the e-tron GT RS, you're going to get 390 miles of range and 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. I'm willing to bet that the e-tron GT RS will not do that in 2 seconds. Not to mention the Model S will have about 1,020 horsepower versus 637. I mean, for 120K, that's insane. But, I guess you could also argue that Audi and Porsche, if you go with them, you're getting better build quality, you're getting the backing of a long-standing automaker, which is true. Sure, yeah, Tesla has their issues with build quality, but I don't know. I think it's up to you, but I mean, I'm a fan of the Taycan, but the Model S, I think, is still technologically better and more advanced than the Porsche and the Audi, in my opinion. I also think, why would you get an Audi e-tron GT over the Porsche Taycan? Let's say you want to go that route. Get the Porsche. This starts at 101 grand. The new Porsche Taycan with the rear-wheel drive starts at 80 grand. Get the Porsche. Don't get this Audi. It makes no sense, in my opinion. And even like the upper trim levels, don't get the Audi, get the Porsche. Yeah, right. First of all, I mean, the brand recognition, right? Like, and in the pricing of this too, I don't know what they're thinking. I think this needed to come in at a lower price point, like 65, 70K, not at this 100 grand price. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if the Porsche folks and the Audi folks, or even like the upper level Volkswagen folks, communicated with each other clearly. It doesn't seem like it, because I don't know why you'd buy this Audi e-tron GT. I think their SUV, the normal Audi e-tron, I think that's failing as it is. I saw on Instagram an ad for 4K down and $599 a month. That's super cheap compared to what the price of the car is. I'm willing to guess that their sales aren't that great. So I think they need to go in a different direction here in the Audi, for the Audi standpoint. But yeah, let's move on here. So we also have the new Porsche 911 GT3. This thing is beautiful. Oh my God. Especially that press color that they had for it, that blue. Ooh, that is good. So this starts at $150,000. It's one of the upper level trims for the 911. It comes with a 4-liter, flat 6, 502 horsepower, 346 pound-feet of torque. Does 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. Pretty good. Also, kicker here, it comes with a 7-speed PDK, dual clutch, but it still comes with a 6-speed manual if you want it. The engine redlines at 9,000 RPM, which is crazy. That's like, it reminds me of like the Honda S2000, you know, like the high, like VTEC engines from Honda. But that's insane. Like the speedometer, the tachometer has a 10K on it, 10,000 RPM, and the red line is at 9,000. So you get power throughout that whole band. You know, and I think the car looks stunning. I mean, from what they did with the front hood vents, with the spoiler, and I mean just the looks of the LED tail lights and the headlights. I mean, I know Porsche, a normal person, a Porsche 911, and you'll see it doesn't change much from generation to generation, but it's like that subtle stuff. I think they have perfect shape and look, and every year, every generation, they just sculpt it, they massage it, they make it just that much better. You know, and I think that's like the upside of having the same look. You get to really get that best look out of it, or best design. You know, and I also think this is going to sell really quick, even though it's going to be priced at 150 to 170K. For those folks that love Porsche, they're going to buy these up, if, you know, granted, if they have the money to do so. And, you know, honestly, like before last year, I didn't understand why people paid so much money for a Porsche 911. Seeing as I started 100 grand, you know, I was a big Nissan GTR guy, and I was like, oh man, for that? No, I'd rather buy a GTR. Why would I even get a Porsche? You know, I was always in that mind point. I didn't understand, like the performance that came with Porsche, until I went to Atlanta, and I drove a Porsche 911 4S, Carrera 4S, at the Atlanta Porsche driving experience track. I was thoroughly blown away by it. I mean, I honestly fell in love with it, and I was like, wow, like I saw Porsche in a different light, and I now saw why people love it so much. I mean, I know the Carrera 4S is one of the lower models. I think the one I was in was probably MSRP'd at like $125,000. And, you know, horsepower wise, it's not like crazy. It's not like the Nissan GTR, like 500 plus horsepower. That's the GT3s and stuff. But it was probably, I think, at 420 horsepower, I believe. But man, taking that around the track, doing the 0 to 60, doing the skid plate where it like kicks out your rear end, drifting in it. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was an awesome machine. And like after that, I fell in love with Porsche. I mean, I think if you have $500 to spare and you haven't driven a Porsche properly like this on a track, I say you go down to Atlanta or over in LA, if you're ever in that area, spend $550, get yourself in the seat of a Porsche 911 and try this out, because this is amazing. Awesome experience. You get 90 minutes on the track throughout the drifting, the skid plate, the 0 to 60 and hard braking, and then to going around the track as well. Awesome experience though. And the crazy thing is all of this, like the track is not that big where you can ring out the car. That's where you do the 0 to 60. You even go past 60 to be honest. But on that track, you're only in first and second gear and you're having so much fun. And you're just focused on the track, but little did I know, I'm only going at most 40, 45 miles per hour, but I'm having a blast. It was amazing. For that reason, I mean, I really would love to have a Porsche in the future. We'll see how my finances go, but hopefully I could get one down the line. But that's it for today. Did not have too much news, but I'm really looking forward to getting you guys that footage of having some fun in the snow with my 4Runner and my buddy's Range Rover. I'm hoping to get you guys more and more content, so I'm working on it here. But once again, please like, subscribe, share the video. I really appreciate the support, and you know, thank you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.